All right, guys, this coming Saturday, it's WWE Crown Jewel glorified house show once again, but we're about to talk about a couple of stories that are really, really good and have some interesting directions as they could go in, and this pay-per-view is an interesting caveat for all of those. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer for those of you watching, listening, whether you're listening live or you're listening to the replay, unless you're listening after Friday. We are about to talk about spoilers from this coming Friday's SmackDown. It was taped this past Friday. I feel like we cannot talk about this pay-per-view without talking about those spoilers. Normally, I wouldn't do that. I hate spoilers, stupid internet, ruining that for all of us. I would like to be surprised and entertained, but we have to talk about the spoilers because there's a 6-man tag match made for Crown Jewel, Roman Reigns and the Usos taking on the Bloodline. Now, I show you this graphic. Andy, it is not official. The Bloodline representatives have not been named yet. I assume it won't be Jacob Fatu. I assume it'll be the Tongans and Solo. Jacob probably has his travel issues that he can't get out. But let's talk about, Andy, the way that we got here. We just mentioned the Motor City Machine Guns winning the championships thanks to Jimmy and Jey Uso, who were totally separate. And then at the end of the night, because the Bloodline costed Jey the championship on Monday Night Raw, we see the reunion of Jimmy and Jey, a moment that we've all been clamoring for. But Andy, one man was not so sure what to think about his boys calling the plays and not him. But what a moment it was at the end of SmackDown, Andy.
Yeah, like you said, it's a moment we've been waiting for since, Jey officially left and was feuding with Jimmy and everything else. Like, it's a moment we've been waiting for a minute. Honestly, this is happening a lot faster than I anticipated it to.
Me too.
Like, I thought that moment was going to come a couple of weeks from now. However, we are starting to get some more wrinkles into it from things that happened like tonight on Monday on Raw and things that are going to happen Friday, I'm sure, as well.
Yep.
But it's a moment that is something we've been waiting for. I'm excited that they're back together. I hope they're not back together like full time. Like, I hope they're not back together as a tag team right away. Because I'm enjoying this Jey Uso singles run. Like, I think he is doing a fantastic job. I think he can still do that. And just kind of fall back and forth. I'm very curious, though, to see what happens in this match at Crown Jewel, because I don't know where they're going to go.
How awesome is the sheer thought of Motor City Machine Guns against the Usos? Maybe the ladder match. Maybe a TLC. But, I mean, they would absolutely blow the roof off the place. Can I talk about Sami Zayn? Are we there yet?
Let's talk about Sami Zayn, because we saw it tonight. And before we get to the spoilers of Friday night, we saw tonight Jimmy and Jey promo beginning of Monday Night Raw. Jey is not sure. He's a different man. Like Andy said, he's had single success. He doesn't want to lose that. He doesn't want to be anybody's number 2 anymore. And then, Jared, they run into Sami Zayn backstage, and some things happen that we're not quite sure about.
See, I thought they were a little bit hard on the old Sami Zayn whenever that they said, you don't understand because you're not family. And so just like we're talking about, like, how this is all coming together, and I do agree that it's being force-fed a little bit. They could have taken more time if they had the time to spare before Survivor Series. So maybe Triple H should have thought ahead a little bit better and had this planned out. But I think that one of the big wrinkles that we may get to see is how are we going to get Sami Zayn back in the fold? Because they have just pissed poor Sami off. So now, I mean, what are they going to have to do to bring him back in?
Yeah, I don't know. They said he's not family. Of course, Jey was the one that it took forever to warm up to Sami. And Jey immediately is the first one that says he's not family. And then Jimmy's like, well, no, he's not. But
Jimmy didn't even want to talk to Jimmy.
Right.
He said, can I talk to you alone?
Yeah.
Jey.
And then when Jimmy and Jey are leaving, Andy spot Sami talking to Solo in the parking lot. I don't know what to make of this.
that's the wrinkle that I was not expecting.
Yes.
Like, that's why I think they showed us the Usos getting back together so early, is because now the focus is going to be back on Sammy somewhat. Because I think we all can kind of agree, like, the high point of the Bloodline was when Sami Zayn was a part of the Bloodline.
Yes.
Every week it was the best moments when Sammy was a part of the Bloodline. So when they go back and finally convince him to join them in their War Games match, because I'm like 99% sure that's where we're headed.
Yes.
Right.
He needs to feel a little oozy again, and they need to help him.
I really hope like they go the route. And, you know, we talked about, you guys were talking about it with Gargano and Ciampa, like that happening at WrestleMania. We could have two best friends going at each other, because I think that literally enters them into a Sami Zayn Kevin Owens feud going into WrestleMania, and it makes it full circle, like for the entire Bloodline story, whatever the Roman Rock situation is going to look like.
Yep.
Do Kevin and Sami at the same time. You can do all these other things, and it's a full circle WrestleMania.
I knew it.
The card, if you're going to have DIY on there against each other, the implosion of DIY, and then on the same card to have Sammy versus KO again. Woo! I mean, I feel a little oozy myself on that one.
And then we'll get to this in just a minute. You top that off with Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. If that were to happen, all three of those on the same WrestleMania, oh my gosh, look out.
Somebody explain to me why are we so excited about this match? Like, I'm one of those people that I think Randy Orton is awesome, but he almost nowhere near the Miz. But it's almost like you just don't want to watch what he's doing. For me, maybe just because I've watched him for so long and he's flipped back and forth, heel face, but like, I'm just not excited about that match like everybody else seems to be.
Well, let's hold that thought, because we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And maybe, just maybe, we can sell you on it. Just maybe. Just hold that thought for a second. Also, Johnny, I see your comment in the YouTube chat. I will get to that in just a second. I got one more point here I want to make, because, again, the internet spoiled what is happening this coming Friday on SmackDown. So again, I pushed the graphic. I'll throw it up again. Roman and the Usos against the Bloodline is supposedly confirmed for Crown Jewel. Of course, we haven't seen a graphic because the show hasn't aired. But of course, a huge moment happened in the taped version of SmackDown that's coming out this Friday ahead of Crown Jewel. And that is Roman Reigns officially confirming the reunion between Jimmy, Jay, and Roman, the original Bloodline, to make this match possible. I hate the internet. I wish, Andy, is there not a way they could have left this match off of Crown Jewel? Because, again, if we're pushing towards Bloodline versus Bloodline and War Games, why are you giving us this at Crown Jewel? Could you not have held this off to the live SmackDown, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday? And then we don't get any kind of interaction until Survivor Series. Why tape this?
Yeah, I am not a fan of this happening on a taped version of SmackDown. Honestly, why not do this at Crown Jewel?
Yes.
Like, have a moment where you're going to have a Roman Reigns address the WWE Universe at Crown Jewel, and you have Jey Uso and Jimmy come out there, and you have this moment. Maybe, Solo and Jacob and Tama Tonga or whoever comes out there and interrupts them, and then they start brawling, and then you have somebody come out there and just be like, you know what? Let's have a 6-man tag right now and just have them go at it. Like, I think that's so much better than a taped version of this where it gets, exposed. We talked about it. This is the go home moment that you want.
Yes.
It's like, this is the moment that like Triple H is booking for, but why are you doing it on a taped go home? Why are you not doing it, live? Why are you not doing it in person? That's the thing that is very frustrating.
I mean, agreed is all I can say. I agree with every bit of that. Again, it shows that Triple H is booking ahead, but this is another one of those things that we're going to criticize, just like we used to whenever Vinnie Mac was in charge. He should have planned more for Survivor Series so everything cannot be rushed.
Right.
And he also should think about not spoiling these moments that regardless, he knows we're going to see before it happens, and it's like, oh.
Yep.
You know, I really wanted to see that live and like not know it was coming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think, too, when we watch it this Friday, I think the crowd reaction will obviously help us as viewers, and we'll feel a little bit better about it. But the fact that we know it's coming is just a little unfortunate. One thing, Jared, that I want to get to real quick before we get our prediction for this six-man tag match, and then we move on through the rest of Crown Jewel. We got a lot to talk about. One thing I want to say is I want to talk about Solo Sikoa for just a minute. Now, a lot of people are not happy with Solo Sikoa and his place as the tribal chief. A lot of people, including some people on this podcast, Andy, have said that Jacob Fatu is just totally outshining Solo. Solo is not what he used to be, and he's not great, and blah, 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 blah. Hear me out. Solo Sikoa has spearheaded taking the Bloodline from a cool Bloodline group to, Jared, one that we can actually boo and they can truly be heels and we can prop up the baby faces even more. So if we're upset that Solo has not been as good as he's supposed to be, well, Jared, isn't that the point? He's an imposter Roman Reigns. He's an imposter tribal chief. So hasn't he done? I'm just saying, give the man his flowers. I think he's done a really good job in this role.
Well, just look at that picture that you have put up there. Look at the colors. It reminds me of NWO Wolfpack. Just like a complete knockoff of the original black and white NWO. I mean, I never liked the Wolfpack, and I think this is exactly what we're seeing. I do think that Solo has done his role very well, but the problem is coming out of this, I don't think Solo is going to be the one that is going to be kind of pushed farther on up the card. Like, once this is over, and it's going to be over soon, I think, with Solo, then I think that Jacob's going to step up. And again, I mention this just because I like hearing what other people who don't have a background in wrestling think. And my wife looked at me and she said, why is that guy in charge? The tribal chief. Why him? Why not that crazy looking guy? You know, Jacob. And I was like, that is a very good question. And I would love to be able to answer that for you. But I think that's what we're building towards, hopefully.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that Solo has done his job of making the Bloodline something that we all can hate. Mm-hmm. However, you're going up against Roman Reigns, and you want somebody who's in charge of the Bloodline to feel like an actual threat to Roman Reigns, and Solo does not feel like a threat. Solo feels like the little brother who's just trying to be cool and is going to get murdered at some point by Roman.
Destroyed.
Whereas Jacob Fatu in that role, I think he can still make it to where you boo them. Like, I think he has that capability. Obviously, people are going to like Jacob, but if you start doing these things with Solo and with, you let Tongaloa loose and everybody, then the Bloodline's really going to get hated. Then you can keep going forward. But my thing with Solo is he is not a credible threat. If this would have happened after he squashed John Cena, then I think we're talking. Then I think we're moving forward. But since that point on, he has done absolutely nothing. And it's no fault of Solo. Like, I think Solo is doing a fantastic job with what he's been given. I just don't think they've built his character up enough to be a credible tribal chief, which is why I still think he's not the tribal chief. I think he's just there in the place of The Rock. And maybe then we get the struggle between those two, and then he gets kicked out, and then he goes back to the original Bloodline, and we go from there. I don't see him as a threat to Roman Reigns.
What cracks me up about this whole thing is if you go back in time and you remember Solo Sikoa saying, wins and losses, they matter, right?
Yeah.
And now look at him. He has lost every single match he's been in, and he's still out there telling people to acknowledge him. Acknowledge him as what? A huge and colossal failure? I mean, it's not working.
I just think he's doing his job as a heel, guys. I think
he is. But how is he going to come out of this looking good? I just don't think that's possible.
I think as a heel, he's doing good. I don't think the point is for him to come out and look like $1 million. I think the point is for us to sit here and have this conversation of he's not a threat to Roman Reigns. There's no way. Jacob Fatu should be the guy. He completely overshadows Solo. Jacob's going to kill him. I think we're supposed to be having this conversation. I think they're doing their job. Maybe that's me being a WWE shill. I don't know. But that's what I think.
I mean, that's all I watch right now is WWE, and I have no intention on watching anything else. But I think that the point that I'm trying to argue is there was a time whenever that Solo, everybody had high hopes for.
Yes.
And after this was over, even in defeat, Solo could have come out still being a monster, kind of looking like Umaga or something. And now I think once this is done, he's on the shelf. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with him, but they dropped the ball on what he could have been, even though he was going to lose probably from the beginning.
Very interesting. All right, real quick before we move on, still a lot of stuff to get to. A lot of people in the chat, a lot of people watching. Thank you so much for doing that. Drop your comments, drop your questions, vote in the poll. We would appreciate that so very much. And more importantly than all of that, as much as we love your interaction, hit that subscribe button on the channel. That helps us so much. It doesn't cost you a thing. All right, prediction for this match. 6-man tag, Bloodline versus Roman Reigns and the Uso. Andy, go first. Who takes the win in this one?
Well, after everything I just said, I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little bit because I think Solo does get the win here. But I don't think he pins Roman. I think Jay is in this match to eat the pin. And so I think that's going to cause more tension between Jay and Roman going forward. But I do think if you want this War Games match at Survivor Series to feel important, at some point the other bloodline has to get a win over the OG bloodline, and I think it can happen here because I don't think people are going to remember this match in 2 months from now. So I honestly think this is a good spot for Solo to get the win. I'm not going to be shocked if Rock doesn't come out and get involved or do something. I think there's a really good chance because that Saudi money speaks, and he would very easily make that flight out there, and I could see him getting involved. But I do think the new bloodline does win.
Unfortunately, yeah. I agree with Andy. I think that the only way out of this is for the new bloodline to win. And I do think it would be great, like Andy was saying, if he does, he being Solo, pronouns pal, if he does pin Jay Uso. I mean, now they feel like they're more kind of on the same level-ish. Jay still feels like a bigger deal than him. But if you could get a feud with them going and then go ahead and bring The Rock or somebody else back in against Roman, I think that would make a lot more sense, but Solo does not need to be against Roman.
I agree. That's why I think we are going to fantasy book WrestleMania, if not next week, the week after, before we get too deep into this, because I want to hear how everybody would get to where we're getting to before we reveal anything or what have you. So we need to do that very quickly. Having said that, we're going 3 for 3 here. I think the new bloodline gets the win, because if not, what's the point in continuing the story? So I think they could do it if the OG bloodline wins, find a way to do it. Maybe a beatdown after the match and they leave them lay-in or whatever. But I think the new bloodline gets the dub here. All right. Again, appreciate you guys being with us on our YouTube channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, interact with us, drop your comments, your questions. We would appreciate that so very much. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther for the men's Crown Jewel Championship, the belt that's worth, I don't know, all the Saudi money you can ask for. Very interesting build towards this so far. We really have seen it ramped up the last couple of weeks, specifically last Friday on SmackDown. Where
look how big that belt is.
It's huge. It's huge.
Huge.
Really ramped up with a nice promo with these guys. Jared, I thought it was hilarious that Gunther called Cody dramatic. And Cody said, dramatic? Have you seen my family? And you mentioned Randy Orton earlier. We saw Carell come out and jump Cody. And then Randy came out to save the day. And Jared, I know, let's talk about Cody and Gunther before we get to Randy. I know Randy is going to be a part of this, and I'll go back to this in a second. Cody and Gunther. We've been anticipating this match since they went last in the Royal Rumble 2 years ago. Now we're getting it on a Saudi show. It's the first. Hopefully it's not the last.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for this match. I just hope that and I feel like there's almost no way that they do this without there being some kind of screwy ending, because you can't have either one of these men take the loss and it look good as far as what they're building to. I mean, both of these guys were pushing to the moon, right? So, I mean, I think that Gunther is going to win, and I think that somehow this is where Randy gets involved. He accidentally costs Cody, and then you start that rift. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think this is a belt made for Gunther.
Yep.
Because he can wear it proudly and, you know, hold it over everybody's head. But I do think you got to be careful with how Cody eats the pin or loses.
Yep.
That's why I could absolutely see Kevin Owens getting involved.
Yep.
Like, I could see KO coming out and getting involved. And then, like Jared said, Randy could come out to try to run off KO, accidentally cost Cody, and then Gunther gets the win and, you know, act like he did it all by himself. I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah, I think you guys are both spot on. And the next match that we're going to preview, of course, bleeds over into that. But I think it's going to be an incredible match, but it is a belt and a stipulation made for Gunther. Gunther has, as much as you want Cody Rhodes to be your champion of all champions because he's the face of the company, this is Gunther's belt right here. This is Gunther's match right here. And we talk all the time about situations to set Cody Rhodes up to be able to lose and it not hurt him. I know Jared said that it will hurt him if he loses. I think there's a couple of different ways you can figure out that Cody loses and it doesn't hurt him, particularly with the involvement of Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Andy, I think you're spot on. We're going to see Randy Orton and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens earlier in the night, and then this match is going to go on a little bit later, and then maybe Kevin Owens gets involved and Randy Orton tries to help, and Randy costs him, whatever. But Jared, I want to flash this picture back up here because every single time that Randy Orton gets his hands on this WWE Championship, it's like he holds it for a little longer and he stares at it just a little bit longer. Does this story not, I don't know why that you're not behind this version of Randy Orton, especially if we're calling back 2009 Legend Killer, Viper, shaved head, vicious Randy Orton in this scenario. I don't know why you're not behind this.
If we get back to the head punt kicking Randy Orton, then I'm down. But we have not seen that side of Randy Orton truly seen, I feel like, in ever how long it's been since he punted Vince in the head.
It's true.
So I just don't think right now that there's much behind Randy. He's a good guy. That's not the role he plays best. He plays the heel the best. Once we transition and make him look as tough and as mean and ruthless as possible, yes, it can turn into a great story. I just have not seen any of that yet. So until I see that start to develop, I'm not excited.
Yeah, and I kind of get that. I feel like, Randy is people love Randy, and when his music hits and they sing it, they cheer for him. He's a massive baby face when he's a baby face, but the best version of Randy Orton is when he is a sadistic heel. Except for the 2020 Randy Orton, because that was a crazy Randy Orton in the pandemic. But like 2009 Randy is the best version of Randy Orton. By far. He didn't care what he did. He didn't care who he did it to. In fact, the higher up you were, the better it was the better it was for him. And Cody Rhodes was right with him the entire time of that entire story.
Yep.
So I would love to see, ultimate good guy Cody Rhodes versus ultimate heel Randy Orton. And take us back a little bit to the, Randy John Cena feud that they ran back a million times, and kind of give us a little bit of a feel of that.
Yep.
But just have that story going into WrestleMania of, Cody, you're only there because I gave you a chance in Legacy, and like you screwed it up and went off to go do your own thing, and somehow you made it work. but you're still not my level. Like, you're still not up to me. You're still Dusty's little kid that I had to watch because you were too stupid to be on your own. So, like, I could see that story developing for Randy and for Cody. I'm very curious to see how we get there, or even if we get there by WrestleMania, because I could see this happening at SummerSlam or even, later on down the line.
Is 2020 whenever Orton had that horrible entrance at WrestleMania, I think it was, and it was supposed to be like snakes, but it looked like giant sperm?
No, that was WrestleMania 33 against Bray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was terrible. But
Yeah,
yes.
that part was horrible. 2020 is when he burnt the Fiend alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we tried to get sadistic, evil Randy
We
Orton in
tried.
2020, and just, we didn't have a crowd to help us out there. Speaking of 2009 Randy, and speaking of punting Vince, and the higher up you get, the bigger the target was. I called this on our 3-count show on Friday. I said that we need an interaction with Triple H and Randy Orton for Randy to be able to get this match with Kevin Owens. And daggum if they didn't do it. On Friday Night SmackDown, in the middle of the ring, Triple H saying that he's trying to protect Randy, not trying to protect Kevin, because this is a different Kevin Owens. So just a really, really, really cool moment. I want to talk about Kevin Owens for just a minute, though. It's very interesting, Andy, the way that they have unconventionally turned Kevin Owens heel. And I say unconventional because nothing that they have done, Andy, has been actually in the ring. Everything they've done, Kevin Owens jumped Cody in a parking lot. Yes, there were cameras when he jumped Randy backstage, but they were all security cameras, and he had already done the deed by the time that everybody got there and the actual cameras got there, so we didn't ever see it. The only thing we saw in the ring was Kevin trying to cut a promo saying that Cody's the one that turned on him, and they cut his mic. And then we also saw the social media video that Kevin released. He released 2 of them that we've seen. So very unconventional way that they're going about this. I'm like you, especially when you tie in this Randy Orton thing. This thing could go on for quite a while, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they could stretch this out for, a couple months, at least to WrestleMania, if not past WrestleMania. I'm very curious to see what they do from here, because I think there's a clear-cut person that has to win this, for the sake of just advancing his character and keep moving forward.
Yep.
But I'm very I'm very curious to see how it plays out, because I feel like this can't just be a regular one-on-one match. Like, I feel like something has to happen to add stakes to it even more. Because I kind of feel the same way about Seth and Bronson. Like, I feel like there has to be something added to it, because there's no way I can just convincingly see Kevin Owens and Randy Orton have a one-on-one match. Randy wants to kill him, and KO kind of wants to do the same thing. So why not just let them go out there and do it? But I think it's going to be really interesting to see where we go post Crown Jewel for both of these guys, and see, do they go right back after Cody? Do they still stay with each other? Does Cody somehow get involved with the Bloodline storyline while this goes on, and then we meet back after War Games, or what the case is?
There is a huge disconnect for me, and I was just listening to Andy talk. I think where they lost me so far with this whole thing is you had the little, dust up with Kevin and Randy hits KO, but then he immediately acts like, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. I hate that I did that. But then all of a sudden we go to Randy wants to kill him. And it doesn't seem like there's enough context there as to they didn't have a huge blow up. Randy was trying to help. He hit KO, and they acted like they both regretted what happened, but now they hate each other.
Well, then KO jumped him backstage because he said that Randy picked Cody's side. Because after that, supposedly, Randy told Cody, hey, I'm going to go talk to Kevin. We're going to smooth this thing out. And then, as Randy was talking to Kevin, Kevin snapped and said, well, you chose sides. How dare you choose sides? How dare you pick his side? I'm the innocent one here, blah, 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 whatever. So, yes, a little bit of context there, but I'm with you. It has been a little bit, it's been good, but it's interesting that they've involved all 3 of these guys. And the centerpiece has been Cody because he teamed with Roman Reigns. So you've got this. I mean, we talk about Rock, Roman, Cody triple threat. I could easily see this just turning into a big triple threat. Maybe at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. Maybe Randy doesn't fully turn on Cody before the Rumble, and we see sort of a tweener Randy Orton in between these guys and a triple threat match like that. I mean, Andy, I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think that's a really big possibility. My question is, if they knew they were doing Gunther and Cody at Crown Jewel, why would they have KO turn after Bad Blood? Like, why not have him turn either at Crown Jewel or after Crown Jewel? Because I think you could easily let KO fester on the idea of Cody and Roman not only teaming up together, but also like winning and, you know, being successful and seemingly like, you know, not necessarily burying the hatch, but coming to a mutual respect to each other of like, okay, you're not like, we're not, you know, we're moving forward a little bit. And just let him fester on that. And then, you know, have him cost Cody at Crown Jewel or something like that. I feel like just like the Uso things, we've jumped the gun a little bit, which we haven't said very often when it comes to Triple H booking. This is one of those where I don't know if he necessarily had the end goal in mind, but just this idea that he wanted to do with Kevin Owens, maybe to do something big at WrestleMania, and we just are kind of fast tracking it to happen now.
I just wonder if Triple H starts booking the way that kind of Vince McMahon and maybe Vince Russo did during the Attitude Era before it all got out of hand, where that they have all these situations going on and they kind of just listen to what the fans are doing and then they can kind of redirect the plan as needed. Or if Triple H is dead set on all this stuff. Like, because I do think it's moving fast, but I am overall happy that they're at least trying to tell stories and have a mess going on over here and have this mess going on over here, and somehow they link up and it becomes one big gigantic mess. I mean, I like it. It's just a little too fast paced for me.
Yeah, I do like the overlapping stories where, you know, Cody's involved in the Roman thing, but he's involved in the Kevin Owens thing and the Randy Orton thing. And then you've got, you know, Jimmy and Jay's doing his own thing. He's involved with Braun Breaker, but he's involved with the Bloodline. And, you know, I do like the overlapping of the stories, but I completely agree with you guys. It's a little bit, I don't know. I think the 2-hour shows have thrown a wrinkle into it. I know SmackDown's always been 2 hours, but I think the 2-hour Raw maybe is... there's just not enough time, I guess, to really flesh out everything. So maybe he feels like he has to fast track it, he being Triple H, pronouns pal. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think we do have a long way to go before we get to where we're going, whether that's Kevin and Sami at WrestleMania, whether that's Randy and Cody at WrestleMania, whether that's whether that's Cody, Randy, Kevin at WrestleMania. And I don't know. There's a lot of ways we can go. Again, we're going to try to sort all that out in about a week or so. We'll try to give our thoughts on that. But right now, we got to give our prediction on this match. I think I'm going Kevin Owens to defeat Randy Orton here. I think that just makes the most sense to keep the story going. Randy can eat the loss. Kevin desperately needs the win, Andy. Desperately needs the win in this situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. Kevin Owens has to win this because he needs to win a feud again. Like, yes. He needs to win a big feud again and bring back that, you know, killer instinct that he has. I'm fully expecting Randy to eat a power bomb off the apron in this match. I'm expecting the old school KO to come out and remind us just who he is. So I completely agree. Yeah,
I think Kevin Owens definitely, but I think we need to see, like Andy's saying, I think something different. Whenever that Kevin Owens comes out, there needs to be a definitive that's different.
Yes.
And that will help, I think, as far as developing his character.
Because Triple H said when he looked in his eyes, it was different. It was he saw something different. It felt different. So, Jared, I think you're 100% right. Now, if we come out with a clean-shaven Kevin Owens again, just like we did with the U.S. title stuff, I'm not going to be a fan of that.
I want the head shaved. Head shaved, leave everything else.
Ooh.
Remember the figure they did of him as like dressed up as Austin?
Yeah, when he
where
did
he's
the bald cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
That's what I was going to say. I want him to slowly turn into like a different version of Stone Cold Steve Austin every week, because they already got the stunner. Just shave the head and just keep going.
Listen,
he's just a very irritated, very distraught, chubby little man who shaves his head, and now he's going balls out.
So that's exactly why Jared Justice's doppelganger is Kevin Owens. All right, moving right along. Here we go.
Hey, I have the hair growing back.
You have that. Well, then just shave it, and you can be Kevin Owens again. Or at least what you want him to be. All right, very quickly, let's move through the rest of the Crown Jewel card from the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. To me, the most underwhelming match on the card, and we have a Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag match to talk about. To me, it's the most underwhelming match on the card. Nia Jax and Liv Morgan, champion versus champion. Jared, I'm not interested in this match. I think that Liv Morgan is doing the best work of her career, but she can only help herself so much when she's got Nia Jax across the ring from her. This does not scream champion versus champion to me. If we're trying to push Liv Morgan, having Nia Jax on the other side doesn't help. I think I'm not looking forward to this at all.
They could have just billed it as the puppies versus the Rottweilers, and that would have been for a very great name for this feud. But no, man, I think somehow we see Liv win it, man. I think the puppies, I think they pull out here, and I think that you're going to see her with that big championship.
Follow that, Andy.
Yeah, I don't really want to. I honestly, I agree, Chris. Like, I'm just not, like, nothing about this is exciting. I kind of feel that way about all of Judgment Day right now, which is crazy to say, looking back over the last couple of months. They're not doing, anything right now. However, that being said, I do feel like Nia Jax is doing some of the best work of her career right now.
Sad to say.
I don't think we're at the point. I think she's 10 times better than she used to be. Like,
Agreed.
I think she's kind of fallen into that category of now she knows how to look brutal and work safe at the same time. And I think she's doing that really well. I'm enjoying her and Tiffany Stratton working together. I think they work really well. But just the idea of this match does, if it was Nia and Rhea, I think it would feel a lot bigger and a lot better.
Do you think there's any chance that we see Tiffy Time cash in after this match and beat one of these women for their title?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, on her promo on the taped SmackDown that's coming up Friday, she says that she is cashing in at Crown Jewel. So we'll see if it actually happens, who she cashes in on. I don't know. But, Andy, to me, that's the only thing that saves this situation.
Yeah, I think that does happen. I honestly don't know who she cashes in on, though. I could absolutely see her cashing in on Liv. But I also think the smarter choice, or the choice that makes the most sense, is her cashing in on Nia. And then them feuding kind of going forward for the title. But I don't know. I don't care about, like you said, the only thing that makes this match interesting is if Tiffy does cash in mid-match or post-match.
Yep. I agree. All right, let's move on to the other women's match on the card. It's a fatal 4-way for the women's tag team championship. And yes, I'm more excited about this than I am the match we just talked about. You've got the champions Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Also against Io Sky and Kairi Sane, and against the NXT team of Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. We talked about them a couple of weeks ago. They're pushing Lash Legend, making her feel really, really important. I could see them sneaking out a win here, but regardless, Jared, of who gets the win in this tag match, the fact that this match and the match we just talked about with Liv and Nia Jax. The fact that those two matches are happening at all on a Saudi Arabia show where we were 6 years ago, like, kudos to WWE and everything that they've been able to do to now get 10 women on one show in Saudi Arabia.
Now, I'm sure they will be dressed head to toe.
Well, of course.
But out of their little turtlenecks, we will be able to see their shining faces during the match. So, yes, WWE has done a great thing. Kudos.
Do you have a prediction for this match, Jared, in the women's tag title match?
Man, I didn't even know this was going to be happening. I don't care. But I guess I'll go with, since you love Chelsea Green, I'll just say Chelsea Green.
There we go. That's it. Need two-time champ.
Yeah, I think this will actually be a really decent match. Like I think
me
they
too.
will work really well together. It's hard not to when you've got people like Bianca and Io and Kyrie.
Yep.
And even like Piper Niven. Like Piper's a beast in the ring. And then you put Jade Cargill. I cannot wait for the interaction of Jade and Piper in this match. Like I want to see those two go at it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But I do think at the end of the day, the champs are going to retain. I think Jade and Bianca are going to walk out with the win and just continue to dominate over everyone.
I'm going to pull out the newcomers on this one. I'm going to go Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. What a way to get them onto the main roster. I think this is a prime spot for them to be able to win. Again, we talk about situations where Jade and Bianca can lose the titles but not get pinned. I think this is a perfect situation, as much as I hate it for Chelsea Green to eat a pin and for Lash Legend to just toss her around the ring and get the 1, 2, 3. And that's that. I mean, that's just what Chelsea's there for, unfortunately. That's my pick, though. I think we get new champs there. All right, we mentioned this earlier. Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, no stip in this match. We saw an incredible brawl tonight in the parking lot on Monday Night Raw, Andy. And you said it. I don't know why we don't have a stipulation on this, especially after what we got tonight on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, I think we might have another situation where this match just doesn't get started because they're brawling like crazy. And then somebody just comes out and is like, you know what, let's just make this a no disqualification or, whatever you want to call it. I could absolutely see that. This is the match I'm most looking forward to. Like this, to me, this has been the best build to this entire pay-per-view is Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, because I think Sean Ross Sapp said it, and I completely agree. This is Peter Griffin and the chicken from Family Guy in real life. Like, this is what this feud is, and I've loved every single second of it, because every time they see each other, they don't even have to say words. It's just like on site. They're throwing hands. They're trying to kill each other, and I'm very excited for this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I love the Brawns right now. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, I see huge things for it. Every time they come on my TV screen, no matter what they've done so far, my eyes are glued to that TV because I want to see what they do next.
Yep.
So I think Bronson Reed definitely has to get the win. I don't think he comes out of the feud on top. I do think Seth will get his win back and probably beat Bronson for the 2 versus 1 win. But, man, I'm excited to see it. And I'm excited to see what comes next after this match, because I think whatever happens and how this match ends will be what the stipulation – it'll be what determines what the stipulation is for the next match we get in this feud.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we're done with this just one match. They both need a big win here. I'll lean towards Seth Rollins just because maybe he's more well-known with the Saudi community than Bronson Reed, so maybe they're looking for if you're looking up and down the card, probably not a lot of babyface wins on this card, so maybe you're looking for a babyface to get a win, so that could be Seth Rollins in this situation. But I'm not going to be upset if Bronson Reed wins this. There was a point in time where I would have been upset had Bronson Reed beat Seth Rollins. I'm okay with him winning here because I think, Jared, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Seth will get his win back at some point. One more match to go on Crown Jewel, and then we'll get ready to get out of here. The United States Championship is on the line in a triple threat match. LA Knight defends against Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Jared, this one is going to be an incredible match, I think. We've seen 7 incredible matches between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes over the past couple months on SmackDown. You had LA Knight in the championship into the mix. I think this is going to be fun.
Carmelo, man, I really still don't know as much as I would like to, because for a while I did not have very much interest in him. I just didn't know him, didn't feel like giving him the time to kind of see what he's all about. But these three guys in this match, I think, can absolutely tear the house down, and it could be match of the night.
Yep, very well could be. You're right, Andy.
Yeah, I completely agree. You had the upset in the women's tag match. I have the upset here. I think Andrade walks out with the U.S. title.
Oh, okay.
I think in the best of 7 series, he has shown us and reminded us of what he was like in NXT when he won the NXT championship.
Agreed.
I think you give him the U.S. title. I think LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes go off into a separate feud between the two of them, and you do Andrade and have, you know, whoever you want coming in and feuding with him. But I think Andrade walks out with the win.
So here's my question, and this will be the last time I derail us this time. But if you go back in time and remember whenever The Rock came back and everything just started booming, everything was great, we got good feuds, everybody's interested. The only negative that I see that happened was LA Knight was streamlined, man. I mean, he was going to the top. I don't know that he was going to be the champion, but he was going to be right there in the picture. Is there a chance, and if so, maybe next time, maybe right now, we can think about it, but how do they and will they get LA Knight back to the promised land? Or did he just kind of get cut off before he really got his legs underneath him, and he's not getting in that title, the main title picture anytime soon? What's your thoughts?
I'll give a quick solution. Move him to Monday Night Raw. That's my solution. Give him a new landscape, give him a new set of superstars, give him a new championship. That way we don't have to worry about him stealing the spotlight from Cody Rhodes or The Rock, who's probably going to be on SmackDown as well. Ship him over to Monday Night Raw. He'd be a big star on Netflix. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
Listen, LA Knight uncensored on Netflix would be amazing. And it would be the smartest thing for them to do. I agree. Like, I think moving him to Raw and letting him go off, he got probably the second biggest pop of the night in Nashville a couple weeks ago when his music hit. And like, so people still love LA Knight. People still are waiting for him. So I completely agree. Send him over to Raw. Him and Gunther going at it for the world title, I think would be amazing. And have him win, like have LA Knight go over and be champ for a while.
But what are the chances you think they actually do that?
I mean, he's been on SmackDown for a long time now. I think it's sort of time for a change of scenery. Probably not gonna see it though until they do a draft, which probably won't be until after WrestleMania. So I'd say we still got a little ways to go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that answers my question.
All right. And if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat or hit us on social media right there where Jared's pointing right down there. That's our social media handle at SQCircle_radio.
Where?
Down there. You can shoot us a message. You can drop us a comment. We would appreciate that so very much. We do our best to get to each and every one of them. So we appreciate that interaction. We also appreciate you hitting that thumbs up on the video and subscribing to the channel. Doesn't cost you a thing. We're not going to send you an email. We're not going to do anything like that. But we do ask for your support. It helps us so much.